Hello, and so we're back with part seven now. And at this point, I'm going to just do this periodically here and there, just to reiterate that I'm really not here to sell. I'm really not here to convince anyone. I'm really not here to tell anyone hard facts. That's just not what I'm about, you know. And even the things that are pretty much hard facts, even with that, all I'm really trying to do is encourage different perspectives, different views, different, kind of opinions, if you like, because I do feel that there's a lot of things around this subject that, are only ever looked at in certain ways. It's like, oh, well, this says this and this says that, so that must be what it is. And sometimes it's very much worth just looking a little bit beyond the obvious, just looking around things, and you may be very surprised what you come across. So that is the main thing that I always like to try and promote. So everything that I talk about, I'm not preaching to you. I'm not telling you what to think or believe. That is not me at all. What I basically do is deliver my theories and just encourage you to try and see it that way. So I really, really want to get that, kind of hammered in, if you like, that's what I'm about. I'm not here to tell you. I'm here to, offer different perspectives, different theories, and basically, kind of look at things in a nicer, fairer way that's not all about, kind of cold incriminations of people and kind of, demonizing people, who none of us really know that much about, not really. And, we've got to sometimes, put ourselves in their positions. And something that is mentioned in the book is that, it's very, very hard and not nice. It's very soul destroying and hurtful to be called a liar, and it's something that we've probably all experienced at some point or another where we've been accused of lying. And we know that we've told the truth, but it's a huge struggle to get these points across, get someone to take our word for it. When we've got no solid evidence to prove our innocence or to prove that we are just telling the truth. So these are the kind of ways that I like to encourage people to think that, it can be a very, very hurtful thing. And sometimes, we've got to have a little bit of empathy here and there. And so one of many, many things, of course, that I really want to cover here is that there's a lot of people out there who insist and believe that George and Kathy Lutz committed some kind of crime of, for profit, some kind of fraudulent scam that was there to line their pockets. And I can, I can understand that a little bit in the way that, people think, well, yeah, we could all make up a story and get rich from it, couldn't we? We could all, sell something that's amazing, that's going to fascinate the world. It doesn't mean that it's true, does it? Yeah. But I feel that, that there's ways that we need to look at this more clearly, and I'd even say more logically, in the way of people will say they abandoned that house because they couldn't afford it. They got in too deep and they ran away and abandoned the house. Well, okay, I can kind of get that, but I mean, I think we'd be looking at something like that happening more likely after a year or a year and a half, maybe 6 months, that someone's took on this big, expensive house that, that they just about stretched to it, they just about, kind of managed to get the finances in order to take this on, and just, you know what, this is too much of a struggle. We're not living a good life. We're just working to pay the bills, and we've got no life. So let's abandon it. Let's just leave it, kind of thing. But we're talking 28 days, and I really, fail to see who ever could have been in a position to say, our finances are too bad, we can't live like this after just 28 days, by which point a lot of the bills wouldn't have even gone out there. To my knowledge, the first mortgage payment hadn't even been taken at that stage. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe they were a little cash poor at the time, but there again, who isn't when they've just bought a new house? Most normal people will find themselves in that position where they've just took on something big like that. And, it's a long, painful wait until next payday so that they can, kind of start to restore some kind of normality. But again, 28 days, that is just not enough to evaluate what your situation is going to be like, and there are so many other ways to look at it. I mean, to many people's knowledge, they had some expensive assets, not least George's boats. So if they were short of cash, maybe they could have sold one of the boats or both the boats, maybe his motorcycles. We're talking easier ways. Maybe Kathy could have got a job, just part time, to bring in some extra cash if finances were the issue. But we've got to consider that one way or another they managed to get that house. They got the mortgage. They were obviously in a position to get it, and take it on. I mean, even in the mid-70s, people weren't getting mortgages if they weren't in the right position. Banks and lenders, they needed to see some reasonable evidence that you were in a position to repay that mortgage. And so it does seem quite ludicrous for people to say, well, they took it on and couldn't afford it. Yeah, and I mean, that's just, a few practical ways to look at this, in the way of, how was it about profit then? Because it would really stand to reason when thinking about it logically that they weren't desperate for cash. I mean, that they couldn't have been really, because like I say, they wouldn't have got the keys, they wouldn't have got the house at all if they were in such, dire straits. But the other thing that really, really always strikes me is, if you were in a position like that and, really desperate to get some money, would you decide to just abandon your house and run away hoping that a paranormal story was going to sell and make you rich? Because there was no guarantee of anything being noticed or published or, taken seriously in any way, shape, or form. So I really do feel it's quite ludicrous to say that they did that with the intention of going and getting rich from it. Because who could possibly guarantee that? I mean, I always feel as well that it's very, very ludicrous to think that it was all planned from the start. From we're going to go and buy that house and we're going to make up a story and we're going to get rich from it. I do find that absolutely preposterous, because again, no guarantees of anything happening, no guarantees of any profit. I mean, it would be an incredibly foolish gamble, an incredibly foolish gamble. Now, there is an interview out there, part of a documentary. I'm not going to mention the name, but it's where Butch DeFeo is being interviewed, where he claims that he always knew them before the murders, that they would go on drug runs together, and that they planned the whole thing together. Now, it's a bit strange, how Butch DeFeo was known for being a pathological liar, and people will often say you can't believe a word he says. Yet, when he said that, the one and only time he said that in this documentary, people tended to say, yeah, it was all planned from the start, because even Butch DeFeo said, yeah. It's funny how people's, kind of loyalties and beliefs will just change accordingly to fit, a certain, way of thinking and a certain belief. Yeah, so I feel that these are the kind of things we've got to really, really think about as well. I mean, when it comes to profit, yeah, okay, I'm not going to say they didn't make any money, because I understand that they did, but it was nothing compared to the author of the book, and certainly nothing compared to the filmmakers. So let's really, really think, about this idea of, all for money. Yeah, keep thinking on that one. I'll be back soon. Many blessings.